All right, who's ready to dance?
Doing the robot.
Oh yeah, let's do the robot. That's right. Are you guys all dancing with us? Come on, woo! Put your hands up.
Oh, we're down on the ground. We're going on the ground.
All right. Yeah,
There
I
we
figured
go.
I'd come down here a little
Yeah.
bit.
Sounds
So,
good.
hello, everybody. Today is Pi Day.
Happy Pi Day.
National Pi Day.
Hope you made some pies.
And I know, I didn't, but I saw a lot of good tweets out there. Did anybody else make a pie or two on Pi Day?
Or eat pie.
And
Can we
we're
buy pie?
we are here at the Hive. I'm guest hosting for Vivian, who is normally the host, and she's been out for a couple weeks because she is working on a really cool team called the Colettos. You know, like stilettos, the Colettos. How cool is that? It's an all-girls team with one awesome guy, and they're playing Onward. So you got to check them out. They are doing pretty good. I actually went to SXSW and I listened to it talk about social VR for the person who actually runs or created Onward. So I was like, oh, wow, you know, like he's just very down to earth. So I could see why Vivian's trying to get at this. But anyway, today we have two amazing guests. My name is Navah. I've been trying out different platforms in social VR. I've been in social media for a very long time. And how cool is it that we're all hanging out right now? Right? Okay.
Super awesome.
So we have Sam Luck. She is a virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality designer, artist. She's done Quill, Tavori. I mean, I've countless hours of amazing animations and some really, you did something with the Magic Leap, the AR. And then we have Kevin Ang, who is, I think you are the creator of the XR artist community, correct?
Yeah, co-founder.
Yeah.
That sounds very high.
Co-founder. I know. Co-founder, right. So he's the co-founder. He's also a VR AR designer, animator. I mean, you just did something with Oculus and you're going somewhere soon. Where are you going?
I'm going to Thailand soon for
Thailand. How cool is that, you guys?
Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah. So both of these guys, you know, have really done a lot in the immersive design. I hate to even just say virtual reality because it's XR, it's virtual reality, it's augmented reality, it's mixed reality. There's no real, I guess, label for it yet. They're calling it XR, they're calling it many different things, but they create immersive designs, and they're one of the best people that I've been with. I've kind of interviewed them before in Facebook Spaces.
Can I draw a dick?
So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on finding out. I don't know how you feel if you're a designer and you're just trying out virtual reality for the first time with a Go. It's hard to kind of get started, right? Kevin and Sam? Like it's like, where do I start? So how did you guys start? So I guess, Sam, we'll start with you.
Yeah,
how did you start? How did you get into augmented reality and virtual reality?
So I don't know if any of you know of Goro Fujita. He's a very famous VR artist, and he basically trailblazed painting in virtual reality, specifically in Quill. And that's what I use now. So at a conference in Burbank in 2017, he did a demo for like 1 hour. And he was showing that he painted in VR and made a whole film in virtual reality. And I was like, I want to get on this. How do I do this? And so I went home after the conference and bought a headset. Black Friday. It was great. So ever since I've been doing VR and exploring more than just one program, I try to go into other ones, but I'm still drawn back to using Quill. It's the first thing I started with, so I do love it still.
That's great. How about you, Kevin? How did you get started?
It's gonna sound like we're both shamelessly booking for Black Friday, but I also got my hair during Black Friday. But actually,
Black Friday works.
ultimately,
Well, they're
Black Friday totally
expensive.
works.
I mean,
They're very, yeah, the price point and barrier to getting into the space, I think, is still very high.
yeah.
So yes, definitely look out for your sales. But it is very similar also to Sam too in terms of seeing the cusp of like Goro's work, for instance. There's also another artist named Wesley Alsbrook who worked on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
short called Dear Angelica, and both of those were using quill at the time, but they were remarkable ways of bearing witness to a whole different type of art form. And I think that was just starting to, that planted a seed in my consciousness around like, okay, this is something totally different from what I'm used to. By day, I'm normally someone who does motion graphics and illustration, but this was something totally new because it was combining 3D and illustration at the same time and spatially.
Yeah.
And so for Sam, it was quill. For me, it was actually Oculus Medium, which if you've seen work from them,
Also awesome.
it's actually 3D sculpting. Yeah, and I didn't think to myself, oh, would I be a sculptor or would I be an illustrator, would I be a painter? I just jumped into the pool thinking I'm pretty much open to whatever the possibilities were. And yeah, and I haven't stopped. I haven't stopped since.
So how did you choose to start? Like, for example, like how did you figure out how to do stuff? Because I know when you go inside of some tools, you're just like overwhelmed by everything that's there. How did you
Well,
learn how to use them, you know?
Sam, did you want to answer that first, or?
Yeah.
So I have to admit that the first time I got a headset and I got quill, I have to thank Nick Ladd, who's another quill artist. I asked him so many questions, and I'm glad that he wasn't as busy as he is now, and he was able to answer all my questions. And yeah, he's been super helpful for the community, and I really appreciate what he's done for the community and helping everybody. So, and yeah, after that, I just, like for Tavori, I was asking Kevin how to do stuff in Tavori, and just
Yeah.
a mixed mash of everybody, because everyone wants to help everybody in this community, because we're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to figure out how to work in this space and how to tell stories and how to create stuff in this new medium.
Well said. If anyone wants, they can always use their emojis. We love emotional fun. So if you see it in your little circle and you like what someone's saying, or you just want to share the love, please do so. And you know, Kevin, she touches on the community. That's exactly what I felt when I first met you guys and the reason why we talked about the heart, which is art in heart, because
Well done. Well
it's
done.
a very, very close community and everybody helps each other. It's amazing. I don't know if you guys have ever gone into any Facebook groups or communities, and this one, especially XR community, the XR artist community on Facebook,
XR artists.
the group, the XR artists,
Just
everybody's
I
helping
just
each other out.
I just thought of one thing. I kind of want to ask the audience, maybe put your hands up. Have you ever tried a VR painting, drawing program? Like, put your hands up if you've tried something.
Like Tilt Crash or even a
Yeah, anything. We didn't really ask that, I guess, because we're kind of jumping in already, but
Yeah, and we
Okay,
forget
cool.
sometimes it's a real bubble. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
It's a
awesome.
good part of the audience,
Oh,
actually.
great.
Perfect. Okay, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so
No,
Sorry.
yeah, we're just talking about the community and just how great it is. And we thought, you know, with Allspace and the Hive and Vivian, why not get this community involved to hear that there's opportunities to be a part of the community and build each other up. So on that note, I think unless you have something else to say, we can go into some things that you've done. We're going to show an example of, I think first up is Sam. I'm just going to
let's
transport out over here.
Hang on. Well, what have I done?
So that's my grandma in VR for the first
There
time.
we go.
so cute.
So you can look around
So
and,
cute.
like turn your head around.
Isn't that incredible?
So I'm just gonna move.
Oh, hang on.
So this is actually
Sorry.
I
her
wanna put my hand
chalet.
out onto the shelf here, so.
Ted, have you tried this?
Yeah.
So Grandma,
Oh,
just
and look at the hummingbird thing. Oh my goodness.
so this is based on when I was 13. Everybody like Aunt Irene, Uncle Ted.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And we set off this model rocket.
Oh gosh, your dad got the biggest kick out of that.
And so I basically wanted to recreate that time.
Aw.
Oh, I love her laugh.
Oh, no wonder people like these things. Holy smoke.
There it is. So sweet.
Did you see Grandpa?
Oh, how cute is that?
Yeah, he was
Where's Caleb?
morning
Or
newspaper with the coffee.
David?
That's right.
Okay, I'm just
I feel like I'm moving. That's incredible.
Yeah.
No wonder, because when people do that, you see their reaction.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, like what's happening, you know?
Yeah.
That's so great, Sam.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first thing I wanted to do in VR, I was like, I want to make a place that I can't go to anymore, but I can go to at any time. And so she had to sell
Good
her
morning, my
chalet
neighbor. Good morning.
a few years ago. So I was like, this is a perfect thing to recreate in VR in the way that I would see it. So it's awesome. I love doing it.
You know, a lot of people talk about, you know, with VR and how you can recreate things like you just said, memories that you've had before. You know, you use Quill for this, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, Michael? I don't know if we can actually pause the video, like turn it on and pause it, so she can talk a little bit too. No? Okay, maybe we could just go through the video. Can we play it again? So can you talk a little bit about what you did on this, Sam? Oh, she might be checking to see if she probably thought it was her computer, but I think it was maybe the YouTube video. So do you
Oh,
want to,
yeah.
we can go forward to Kevin's video, the next slide.
What's Quill?
And here, over here, you can see this was from, oh, I love this video.
Thank you.
Away from this sad world, come wander with me. He came from the sunset. He came from the sea. He came from my sorrow.
What the fuck?
Can love
Hmm.
only me.
I mean, could there be a better message? So that was Come Wonder Me with Bonnie Bleacher, the song. And Kevin, how did you create that? I mean, what tools did you use? You definitely used more than one, because I watched you through the whole month of December
Right.
working on every single piece of that, especially Chibi. But by the way, the main character's name is Chibi the Prince.
Yeah, like Little Prince, essentially.
Let's get some hearts over here. It gets emotional. All right, go ahead.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the earlier point about sort of falling for the first. So someone asked earlier. I heard someone asking what quill is. All these words that we're kind of tossing at you: Tavori, quill, medium. They're all part of one creative ecosystem at this point. And all these tools excel at different things. Some are very good at animation. Some are very good at sculpting. Some are very good at 2D painting and animation. And in my world, I think what really drove my, to also reinforce what Sam said earlier, like community is really what drove my learning and gave me sort of this autodidactic passion for this scene. And it's just like she said, people like Nick Ladd, people like Martin Nebelong and Ian Crichton, all these people have been super, super helpful in furthering my journey in it. As to your question in regards to how that particular video came along, I think challenges and contests are very essential in my learning journey. So in this case, this was a Tavoy Christmas contest. And I was really encouraged to just basically take sculpts that I had made, creatures and characters that I'd made in the past, and put them inside of a story. And Tavoy basically gave me the space to really showcase that, to really animate something. And, you know, and both Sam and I are actually working on another Tavoy challenge, as you know. And,
right, it's the deadline's March 17th, everybody.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that's
if you want to have it.
To be showcasing the sort of 360 aspect of the filmmaking within Tavoy. Whether or not it's a story is a whole other thing, but I think where Sam and I are concerned, we're always thinking about the emotional resonance behind some of the things that we're doing, the intentions, you know?
It's unbelievable, some of the stories that they come up with. And when you get a chance, you know, in the video, there are their YouTube videos, but, you know, they do tell the story with, I feel the emotion. I mean, I felt it in the Canadian Chalet from Sam, and I felt it when I watched this. Just because, one, I saw the process, but if I hadn't seen that process, I still would have, it's like that character just came to life. It was this sad and then happy because of love, peace and love. It really exuded that for me. And if it did for everybody else, you know, give a shout out. So what you said you use tools for this. Can you tell us a little bit about the tools that you use?
So in this case, it was Oculus Medium for I almost look at them as bookends. Oculus Medium was really great for being able to sculpt the characters. And then actually, and mind you, I never thought of myself as a sculptor. So something that's really powerful about this scene and this community is that you are actively kind of getting over any kind of imposter syndrome that you may have as a creative person dissipates as a result of the fact that the barriers to learning are much lower. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily easier per se. What I'm saying is that because all your senses are engaged within a headset, there's a little bit more of a one-to-one relationship that you have with creating. And so that applies to Tavoy as well, because it's the way I look at Tavoy is like it's like a mini orchestra. The things that you can't see in that video is that I have lights set up, like on the corners. I have multiple cameras that are roving around the scene. There are little bones for the animals, and so I'm constantly, you know, like there's the oboe section here, and there's the violins. You're constantly having to play with all of that. And actually that's the thing I really want to champion is playing. It's not so much working as it is kind of reconnecting. As cliche as it sounds, you are reconnecting with your child in some way. Your inner child that was playing with Legos growing up is that same quality of engaging with, it's like you said earlier, like bringing life to something. It's like we're like Japan,
it is
essentially,
because you literally go inside. I mean, I've even played around with Oculus Medium. You can create all sorts of things. It's a 3D structure that you can share onto Facebook. And as let's say you're a product manager, if you're not just a storyteller, you're a product manager, you can create a 3D image and watch tutorials, right? And you could share it onto Facebook, onto your page, and spin it around and play with it. But even before you spin it around and play with it in 2D, you can play with it in virtual reality. So that's what's really interesting about all the tools that you guys use. So for example, Tavoy, you know, 360 animation. So you can download that and upload it to YouTube and create a story out of it and put it onto your cover page, I guess, for your Facebook page
or even,
to showcase your work.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's so many avenues, and the same can be said for the
So
Allspace
many.
community too, because they also have a very active customization modding group as well. I'm pretty sure of that, and that applies to all of social VR. So there's a very there's a lot of intersection points between all of our worlds within XR. And I think that's also true of the tools as well. I mean,
Yeah.
as I was saying earlier, there are some ways in which some of the tools really excel, and in some places where they don't. And so, using a variety of tools is a really good way of sort of filling in those little potholes.
Absolutely. Like, for example, you used what? You used Oculus, Medium. You could tell us what you used with that holiday.
Yeah, that was almost all Medium to Vori, and I think I used some desktop tools to edit it. But you know, when you show our reels, you'll really see how much we mix. Like, for example, right now Sam is using Blender to.
I don't see. Oh, you're here.
Even,
okay.
Yeah, Sam has been using
Can you
Blender
guys hear
to
me?
really make. Yeah, a little bit, but you're breaking up slightly.
Vibrating a little bit. So why don't we
Yeah.
go into the reel?
That's a great idea.
So this is Sam's reel of her work. So you could see the breadth of.
There's the cat.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
This is where I met you the first time, Sam. We were inside of this 360. That's funny. If you guys have Facebook Spaces, you can go into Quillustrations for Facebook Spaces and actually go inside of her artwork.
And this is from Landon Studio.
So look at how happy those little guys are. And look, there's some augmented reality that you did. I love it.
Awesome.
So I think
Still vibrating a
Sam's
little
kind
bit,
of
Sam?
breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
But you know, this work that she's done just showcases a little bit of the different stuff that she's been able to do in tools like Quill, to Vori, VR. She really tries out them all out, and she does it consistently, right, Sam?
I do. I'll hear me. I really like to eat porridge. Oh. Can you guys still hear me?
It's
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah.
slow. It's like
I
in
think
slow
when
mo.
I've connected, it happens, so just leave and come.
So as she continues on,
Hello.
really, what Sam does really excellent is she tests products and takes them in places that they weren't before. So, for example, she didn't really have. Let's say someone created something into Vori, and then maybe they didn't export something into the image or into Quill. So she'll use Tavori, Quill, and Oculus and see how, because exporting, I think, is the biggest challenge for you guys, right?
Yeah, and another thing I should also say is that the devs are really are essential to our various journeys as well, because we get to be very close to them in regards to feedback, and sometimes they even essentially troubleshoot
Yeah, they do.
files, and so that's unprecedented as far as I'm concerned. It's another thing that's very special about this industry is that it's still just small and pioneering enough that we get to do that. But yeah,
Absolutely.
what you said about Sam is very true. Both of us like to tackle the inherent challenges of each
100%.
platform, and then see where we can push it. And then that's
Yeah.
really common among most of us, to be honest.
It's so true. I mean, if you guys go on this XR Artists Facebook group page, you'll see that, and you'll be able to find tools. So, all the things that they've learned. So if you're in the middle of a design, you could go on there and someone's going to help you. You don't need to all you need to do is just reach out, which is great. So let's jump into Kevin's
Crazy
reel.
reel.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of the way so you guys can see it because I love it.
Sun in the sky, sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Birds flying high.
Look at that bird. Nice music. All right. For swear.
Breeze drifting on by, you know how
You can put your hands up if you want.
birds flying high.
Oh, Chippy.
Sun in the sky, sun in the sky, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day.
So zen.
It's a new life for me. Yeah, it's a new life for me.
All right. Tell us
Thank
about
you.
this reel. Tell us about all of the work you've done, some highlights, some things you've loved, some things you feel like your wins and
Well,
everything you've learned.
I think, I was thinking about this today. I don't know why, it came to me that, oftentimes we say, fake it till you make it,
Totally.
which is a really interesting adage, but actually I want to turn it on its head and say, make it till you make it. And I'm saying the two different meanings of that. Keep making things in whatever
This is why I
way
love
that
them.
makes you happy. Make it till you make it. And making it, I don't know,
Make
as I
it.
grow older, exactly. Making it is
Sorry, guys.
usually, no, it's okay.
She's back.
You're good now. You're back.
I don't
Now
know
you can
why
speak.
it's anyway. Okay, just keep going.
Okay.
It's all good.
Make it till you make it. I love that.
Yeah.
So if
make
you're
it till you make
taking
it.
one thing from here, make it till you make it, because this is such a new industry. I mean, it's been around, but it's still new. It's still growing.
Oh yeah.
There's so much to learn, and everybody's learning together,
hmm
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Average
So-
person still has no idea like what VR is still. Like, that's what I found.
Especially
They
the
know
creative
we
side
didn't
of
know
it.
of it, but like they're like no one really wants to afford to get a headset, because they're too
Right.
expensive and there's a lot of variables.
Right.
Sam, did you want to speak more to your reel?
Yeah,
I
to
don't
your
wanna
reel.
Sorry,
monopolize
guys.
time.
Can you tell us a little bit about the tools that you use, some challenges, some wins?
Yeah, so with me, I try to know kind of all of them and all of their capabilities, but I also love sticking to where I find myself most comfortable sometimes. Like quill for me is closest to like painting, and because I come from a painting background, it's just really awesome to jump in and feel like I'm painting. And then also doing animation, I always wanted to make films and paint and just make films and tell stories. So there's pros and cons for each program, I find. Like, so for the past week, I've been using Tavori, and I love Tavori as it makes you feel like you're a 360 filmmaker. Like what it's like to be on set as a 360 filmmaker that Quill can't really do, or, I mean, I don't know if NVR can really do the same way. You can take 360 video, but it's not as immersive and intuitive as Tavori does it. Tavori is very intuitive and immersive, I think, over most of the other programs. And I usually use Quill, but like this week I jumped into Oculus Medium and I forgot how much I loved Oculus Medium.
So
And
fun
just- yeah. I just built a computer recently, so I've got like just a pretty awesome rig happening. So one of the first things I wanted to try was Oculus Medium, because it would always chug whenever I would sculpt anything. but now it's smooth as silk.
Ooh. So your computer's important.
Super important.
But you still
If you-
created a
if you wanna
lot
take it
before you had
seriously.
it. But
Yeah,
you know, I mean, Quill, I think didn't Oculus spotlight you with your Canadian chalet piece? I mean,
Oh,
it's in the
yes.
favorite section, and you were spotlighted too on I think Oculus Medium or not on the Oculus
Yeah,
blog.
well, you know, it's funny. Someone in the audience here, Illuminati in the far right corner, both of us are Oculus Battle alumni now. So Oculus,
Oh,
we've
hey, thanks
got
for coming. Hey,
Natty. So
See, look
Natty
at how
and I both
supportive.
participated. Yeah, there was basically a big 10-minute sculpt challenge that was done in the Bay Area, New York, and London, and they've just gone through all three. And the
Yeah.
prizes are basically competing in Tokyo. Now, mind you, trying to make anything in 10 minutes is an insane challenge.
Oh,
But, so Natty and I, we kind of got people together and we all sculpted night after night in practice. And that should tell you a lot about our community, because we're not necessarily looking at each other as competitors. We're looking at each other as, well, how can we all help each other now? We're not closely guarding our secrets. I mean,
there is
I don't
like
know if I
a
have any
little bit of a
secrets.
healthy competition, but
this.
it's not like
Yeah, right.
we must.
So I guess we
I
could
must
be
be
like
better
that.
than you. Like it's not like that.
No, it's not like that at
We're all
all.
having fun. Like we're all having a good time. That's like what I've felt.
Exactly.
If anything, you're helping each other grow, so you're like stronger together, I guess you would say.
Yep, that's the
Yeah.
whole point of me and Maz starting the group. So I should say that my friend we created this group together to really build a real sense of community.
So what tip would you give to people starting out? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit, but in design, like what would you suggest? I mean, we know the computer already, but you know, you still, Sam, did a lot with your computer and created a lot in Quill and Tavori and what exactly, like what kind of tool would you suggest for them? How should they start? Should they start with Tavori? And if they do, what should they use?
I'd say like Quill. A lot of people have an artistic sense, I guess, like painting, drawing, animation. And Tavori is like anybody can jump into Tavori. Like it's very user friendly for anybody. And then Medium, I feel like Medium is also the same kind of way. I found it was fairly easy to get into Medium.
And so Tavori is used as an animation tool. Medium is 3D, and then there's something. Is there other tools
Oh, there's so many.
for content
There's
creation?
Yeah.
There's Gravity Sketch. I mean, in fact, on the XR Artist.
So what is
page,
Gravity
One of
Sketch?
our
Yeah.
Gravity Sketch is another 3D tool. But you see, so if we're going to go through it, so there's Oculus Medium, there's Gravity Sketch, almost purely for 3D design, but they have very, very different approaches and very different methodologies to get the final product. You know, and then we could talk about Quill and NMVR, but those sort of cross over with so you were asking a little earlier about like what would be a good program. I'm almost a little bit reticent to prescribe any one program, because honestly, when I came into it, I had no clue that Medium was the one that I was going to fall for first, because I've always told myself that I'm purely an illustrator and I don't do 2D, and I do a little bit of animation, but it's
And look at
really
you now.
it was like I'm sculpting, which is I'll never really say out like, oh, yeah, I'm a fantastic sculptor, but I will say that I love to do it, and I think
very
that there's a tonal difference in it, you know. So yeah, I mean, if I were forced to answer that question, I would probably say Tilt Brush, because Tilt Brush,
Interesting.
it's a really fun way to get into VR, just to see initially, like, oh, this brush like animates, it reacts to music. It's very like, and mind you, there are amazing artists in Tilt Brush. That you should also take a look at.
Hundreds.
Amazing.
So maybe we can ask the audience what they would want to know, and maybe it could be more specific, because you are right. There are so many, and you could literally spend hours talking about it. So, so how about we ask the audience some questions? Okay, we have Alina. Do you want to share your question, Alina?
Is her megaphone on or her microphone? There we go.
All right. This.
Looks like it's on.
She might be frozen.
Yeah, she
Oh yeah.
might be.
Okay.
I think she's AFK.
So
Because
let's
I
go
saw
blur.
her name like a while back, so.
All right. So let's go to blurt. BLERT Zoder 22.
Am I frozen?
Hi.
No?
Hi.
Hi, how
Hi.
you guys doing? Thanks so much for this. This is
Great.
really great.
Well, thanks
Awesome.
Thanks.
I have
Thanks
a
for coming
question.
in.
My son is still a teenager, but loves drawing comics and loves VR. We have Tilt Brush
Love him,
and
really.
that sort of thing. Do you know of programs like summer programs or universities or things that have like a structured way of teaching you how to start for younger
That's
people?
such a good question.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there's a lot of coding courses that have animation. So what I would do is whatever city you live in, look up STEAM, STEAM, and coding, and then find a few of them, and then go from there. So then you can take that and research it because there are a lot of different ones and local ones in each city. So specifically for yours, I wouldn't know. I'm not sure where you live, but let's say you were in California. There's a lot of different courses. So what you want to do first is you want to just find out, just look for STEAM, look for STEM, look for coding, because there's always an animation aspect to it. You just want to look for somebody who has, where it's not like a summer camp to just put your kids in, but if they're really like passionate about it, they probably have more than just summer programs. They have yearly programs. So those are the ones you want to look for.
Okay,
You want to
great.
look for,
Thank you.
for a company that just does the summer.
And
Yeah, no
mind
problem.
you, there are people like Sam who are, I'm just going to plug for you, Sam. You're teaching a workshop this weekend, right? With Olga. Is that
Yeah.
coming?
So
Yeah,
I'm
you in
based in,
Canada?
I'm based in Toronto, Canada. So I was approached by somebody to do a workshop. And so I was trying to think, okay, there's another VR artist. Her name's Olga Nabatova, and she lives literally 15 minutes away from my house. And she's like been doing Tilt Brush since Tilt Brush started. Like she was one of the first people to use Tilt Brush. And me and her have teamed up, and we are teaching a 3-hour workshop this Sunday. And it was actually sold out pretty quickly. So.
Hi,
Wow.
Very
So
surprised.
yeah, make sure you follow
Oh, it's Olga. It's Olga in the
follow
back
them.
there.
I'm gonna
Yes,
pass.
it's Olga.
Oh, where's
Olga.
she? Oh, hey, Olga. She's a major Tilt Brush teacher. She was also spotlighted with Google spotlighted her with
She's
her
been busy
3D.
doing Tilt Brush
Yeah,
this
just
week.
Google VR Olga and you will see her. Let's answer one more question and then we're going to wrap up our 40 minutes. Okay, guest 868-30720.
8675309. There we go.
Let's see. Oh, that's Olga. Hi, Olga.
That is Olga.
Can you, if you press, yes, hey.
Yes, hi. Oh, congratulations, guys. I'm here all the time with you. Very good interview.
Thank you.
I feel like I didn't really answer Blurt's question to the for comics in relation to comics.
Right.
So the best thing is to just maybe look up in where your area is and maybe look into VR meetups, like in person. Me and Olga try to go to any meetup possible in regards to VR in Toronto. So I don't know where you're located, but
I think it's for her teenager though.
I could bring him though.
That's true.
and
No, that's great.
Well, you're
I
such a
really
good mom.
maybe bring up the idea of, is there somebody that could do Tilt Brush or a workshop with me or something like that.
Right.
Other than that, just jump in. Honestly, like the best way is to just jump
Absolutely.
in.
And there are great,
I don't
there
know
are great
how else to.
tutorials. There are really
Yeah.
there are lots of great tutorials.
I don't know if you guys would ever do it, but maybe you guys can, with how you, Olga, Sam, and Kevin, maybe they could do an online course for them. That could be something.
Happy to.
But make sure, let's close out with, I want to know what your websites are so that they can look you up. So go ahead and share your info so you guys can be contacted.
So you can check out all of my work that I've done at samluckart.com. I'm also on Twitter. I just posted something on Twitter today, and I'm pretty excited about it. So you can check out my Twitter at samluckart. Instagram is also samluckart. Basically, any platform is samluckart. Just look up Sam Luck, and it'll come up.
And then Kevin?
And for me, and I'll speak first and foremost for the community, is XR Artists. If you just look that up on Facebook, you should be able to find us there. And we're also on Discord, and we'll probably become a website soon. But as for me personally, mine, I go by Bingoland on both Instagram and also as a website, and that's spelled BINGKO, like bingo with a K, land.com.
So definitely check them out. And look up Facebook group XR Artists and also virtual animation and join those communities and connect with them. Yeah.
Prepare to be mind blown.
Right. Exactly. And if you have a good time, share some emojis. And I go, what? All right. And then one more thing before we leave. Next week for the Hive, the next guest host is actually our video camera producer, Bulletproof 1406. He's going to be, if you're into gaming and if you're just into designing or whatever it is, into being an entrepreneur or creating content, they're going to be showing Starblazer, the person who created Starblazer. How cool is that? So,
yeah.
Wave your hand, Bulletproof. Oh, what? And that's next Thursday at 10 p.m. Candace has a question, but maybe we can answer it after we're through.
Yeah.
So, anyway, these are the people that helped with the show. Well, first, I'd like to thank Vivian for inviting me and Michael. And Sam, Kevin, Bulletproof, and Alex. All the work they do in the background is pretty amazing. And definitely, check out the HiveVR on social media. So
thank you, everyone.
Thanks again for taking time
so much.
On your Thursday night. TBT, hashtag TBT.
Sorry I have disconnected a few times.
Love you guys. Thanks for the podcast.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye. Have a good one, Kevin.
Any questions, you can message us
Cheers,
too.
man.
We're more than happy to
Hey,
help
cheers.
you guys.
If you had a good time, show us some emoji love.